So we have the pointed sticks from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Continuing on with Nardwuar's shelf, tidbits, Northwest sort of stuff for Granville magazine. Now, interestingly enough, around the same time that the pointed sticks were around, we had the band the Subhumans from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. This is one of the first records I bought at Collector's RPM Record on Seymour Street. I actually bought it from Grant Shadrack, who actually plays in a local band in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada to this day. He's still rocking out here. So here we have the Subhumans, Incorrect Thoughts. I love this album cover so much that when the Evaporators came to make a record a few years ago, what did we ape? We aped the Subhumans. So there we have the Subhumans, and then we have the Evaporators with our song Gassy Jack and Other Tales. And believe it or not, it's shot on the exact same bus, and we spared no expense even to make the back exactly the same. So we have the Subhumans. So I became totally infatuated with the Subhumans when I was younger, and I'm not that young anymore, but still I've always thought of the Subhumans. So I thought, I should do a split 7-inch that'll honor Canadian punk rock and honor the Subhumans and honor Canadian punk rock history. So I decided, who loves Canadian punk rock history? Well, Andrew W.K. from New York. You know him from Party Harding. He's got a new show debuting on a Cartoon Network as well called Destroy, or something like that, where he takes kids out into the desert and blows up tanks with bazookas and then creates skateboards out of it, recycles material. It's incredible. Anyways, he's up for everything. Andrew W.K. was so into the idea of doing a split 7-inch with my band, the Evaporators, that he ended up covering the Subhumans! Yes, he covered the Subhumans song, Oh Canada. I can't show you a picture of the Subhumans 7-inch because it's worth about $500 to $1,000. I don't have it. So here we have the Evaporators and Andrew W.K. doing their homage to Canadian punk rock. The Evaporators cover a 60s Quebecois band. Let me think, 60s punk, 50s punk? It's always been punk. Beethoven's punk. In fact, cavemen are punk. How are cavemen punk? Well, a caveman chucked a rock in a pool of water and then ripples happened, and that was the first music. That was pretty punk, to chuck a rock in a lake. So punk's been going for a long time. So here we have the Evaporators, Andrew W.K. There's the back. Andrew W.K. also covers the Leather Uppers from Toronto, Ontario, an amazing punk rock band from the 1990s, Subhumans from 1980s, we covering Les Hulops from 1960s. But everything I've done and has been said before, hopefully you're still with me, you're still listening to this Granville magazine onliners. Well, do I have any original thoughts? Hell no, I don't. Where the hell did I get this idea? So there we have the Evaporators, Andrew W.K. I get it from the Staccatos and the Guess Who. A wild pair. The Guess Who, of course, eventually turned into American Woman, and the Staccatos eventually turned into the 5-man electrical band. San, everywhere, son. But this was a split they did for the Coca-Cola record label, and who did we rip off? Yes, we ripped it off again. Check out the back cover. There, again, some more homage to Canadian punk. So here we are talking about all this sort of stuff in history and Northwest. I know they're from Winnipeg. I know they're from Ottawa, but the Subhumans are from Vancouver, so we tied together now. So I'm thinking of the Northwest, and you're probably thinking well, Nardwuar, you didn't mention a zillion other bands. Well, here's your chance to learn about the history of the Northwest punk. This book's been out for a few years. It's called Dance Halls, Armories, and Teen Fairs. It's totally amazing. You like the band of Fleet Foxes? The guy from the band of Fleet Foxes, Robin, his dad played in a band that's actually mentioned in his book. So this lists all the great, amazing 60s rock and roll bands that came out of the Pacific Northwest, pretty much around the same time as the Sonics. Pretty much all centered around Seattle. There's a few Vancouver mentions, but it's really informative. Now, a new book has been released. I wish I could show it to you, but it's called History of Northwest Rock, and it's by Peter Blecka. So you should get a hold of that now. I can't show that to you now, but please, if you want the truth, find out the information from Peter Blecka, find out from Dance Halls, Armories, and Teen Fairs. Don't find it out from me, Nardwuar, Human Serviette. There are some places in Vancouver where you can find information about Vancouver history and rock and roll, and what might that be but the History of Vancouver Rock and Roll series. I love this series because not only does it have the great history of Vancouver rock and roll on it, it comes with a little booklet done by Michael Wilmore. You might know him now from the show Rockinitis on Shaw Cable 4. So a booklet. I love that there's liner notes. This is the stuff that always influences me. I buy a record, then I sit on the bus, and then I read the liner notes, and then I go home and eat cheese and listen to the music. I love it. So this is the history of Northwest rock Vancouver style. History of Vancouver Rock and Roll Volume 1. There's like about 4 different volumes. Go down to Neptune Records and you can pick these up. Some have been released on CD. Just an amazing assortment, including my favorite punk band, 60s punk band from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, The Painted Ship, and their song Little White Lies. And it's here, so you don't have to pay big bucks for it. So that's the history of Vancouver Rock and Roll Volume 1 and Neptune Records. You might also go down there and check out the Evaporators playing an in-store with Andrew WK to celebrate the release of A Wild Pair.